Welcome to Crimson Guitars. Now, I did a video 6 months ago looking at a fake Gibson Les Paul. It said Gibson Custom on the case, and it was just a Gibson Les Paul type. This is a fake Gibson Supreme, and it is similarly, it's probably made by the same chap or the same group of people who appear to be working out of the old Epiphone factory. They appear to be Epiphone employees, basically. And the big question is, how do they get away with it? Whatever the ethical questions are, whether it's right to do it or not, whether Gibson are encouraging it or not, because in the end, a lot of the people that buy these instruments buy them so that they can then buy original parts and put the original parts on and have a Gibson at a fraction of the cost. Gibson themselves are still selling parts and therefore making money, and it's a big conspiracy, isn't it? Anyhow, we're going to have a look at this instrument and see what we can see, basically. I am going to go all shaky cam on your ass. I'm going to go all shaky cam on you and walk you through and see what I think. Now, I am not a Gibson expert. I am a guitar builder. This one has not been brought to me for repair. This is a friend of ours who bought one to see what he could do. And again, it looks rather nice from a distance, doesn't it? Now, the very first thing you can see is wrong. Let's focus in there. These are emphatically not Gibson. Gibson used the slim post beasties. If you can see those there, that means that it is not. It's an Epiphone bridge and tailpiece. Funnily enough, look at that centreline. That centreline is lined up with the edge of that screw, not the centre of the screw. So this whole thing is out of line. And that goes the same for the tunematic. The tunematic is offline, which means that when they put this neck in, they put it in sideways, or at least at a slant. The other thing to look out for, it's the control knobs slant in. These two are closer together than those two are, so they taper into a point. And that isn't the way it is on standard Gibsons. This is a Gibson Supreme. They change every year. This year's one apparently has F-hole models and probably costs 27% more than they would have charged last year. Now, that just looks fairly poorly done. It looks like it's supposed to. This, however, is supposed to be a globe made in abalone and mother of pearl, and it isn't. The inlays are mother of toilet seat, i.e. fake mother of pearl, and that's a plasticky nut. Sadly, Gibson also use fake mother of pearl for the most part, and plasticky nuts. So nothing there. And I don't know if you can really see. Can you see the tarnishing on these frets? That says to me that this is particularly cheap. Let's move my wire. I said move my wire, out of shot. Particularly cheap fret wire. It's tarnished and going yellowy with age. And that's just not good. And the other thing you'll notice is, it's more apparent here, at the points of these inlays, it's rounded over and it's been filled with black epoxy or superglue, and that is not particularly good quality. Again, however, neither are Gibson for the most part these days, very sadly. Some slight finishing blemishes. In fact, let's see if I can catch that in the light. Look next to the binding. There you go. That there, it's out of focus, but you can see the light hitting. That's where finish has seeped into a poorly glued crack in between the binding. Now our client has had to replace this switch here with a Switchcraft one because it arrived broken, and well, here's something else. Can you see that discoloration here, around there? That patch is where super glue that's been used to glue the binding in has spread out and it's discolored. The stain hasn't taken evenly, and that's fairly obvious. Other than that, it really does look rather attractive. What's most attractive is it only cost our client £230 with case and delivered. Can you believe it? Apparently made in the USA. That serial number comes back to this model, 2005 Supreme. And it's crazy. It came with an owner's manual, it came with a USA pre-packed checklist which hadn't actually been ticked, which would have been the easiest thing to fake, I suppose. No date and all that sort of stuff. And it's got some other Gibson paraphernalia in there as well. We can't really see if there's a scarf joint in there, which one would expect. And there's no backplates. This is the interesting thing. All the wiring and all the electronics is done through a pickup cavity. And the binding there, if I try and focus it, is wrong. On a Les Paul, it goes straight and it's wide and thick. Various small things. You can see changes in colour here. That's lighter there, that's darker. It hasn't been scraped fully clean. There's still glue on there on that binding. But all in all, it's a creditable job. It's been made rather well and incredibly cheaply. And this is emphatically not a photo flame finish. There is no way whatsoever. It might be a veneer, which means it's real wood cut real thin. But I suspect it's probably just real wood. Okay, let's take these strings off. Actually, I didn't even look at the tuners. Last time, yeah, they are, they say Grover on them, but they're not Grovers. They are lightweight in feel, and there's a lack of definition around the casting. I wonder how many fake Grovers are sold. In fact, I'm reminded that somebody at a guitar show last year tried to sell me a load of what he was saying were Grovers. I've only just twigged that they might have been fake. I didn't buy them, but still. Let's have a look at this set of real Grovers that we have. In particular, look at the writing and look at the bevel that you've got going up into the shaft. This is made with purpose. Okay, now let's look at the fake. You see the writing? That writing is wider, spaced. I think it's called the kerf in between the letters. There's no bevel going into the body of the tuner there. And the whole finish is just a lot less well done. So this is a fake Gibson and a fake Grover. Let me see if I can show you. This is very difficult to keep focused. So there's that, and there's that. You can see exactly what's happening there. These are wobbly. Even fully taut, there's play in these gears. Let's try and hold the headstock as still as possible. They're just not very good. So, well, tuning stability is pretty much everything when you have a guitar. So, well, this is something else to look for. These just feel plasticky and rubbish. One of the first places to look, if you want to see if you've got a fake or not, is at the truss rod. And I suspect, well, I know this is a fake. Yeah. Gibson truss rods have, so that's cracked in there. That's masking tape in there. This is a standard 4mm Allen key type job, rather than, this is just a very cheaply made cover here. And as we've said before, that's supposed to be a globe behind there. And the word Supreme as well is supposed to be much better done. One other thing I've just noticed is that the bridge is on backwards. The line of screws, the adjustment screws there, are supposed to be the other way around. I'm assuming it came like that. But for now, let us take one of these pickups off. These tend to have Epiphone pickups in them. Now, the last time I did one of these videos, I missed a lot of things because I am not an expert in Gibsons in the slightest. I'm a guitar builder, I'm not a guitar collector or a shop, for example. While I do repair a fair few, I'm not studying them. But one of the most interesting comments we had was, aha! Yes, okay, so Gibson pickup wouldn't have this wire in the slightest. It certainly wouldn't say Epiphone on the bass. Just while I'm here, on the original Gibson, this plate is much larger. They don't, because there's no back plate or no axis from the back, they do all the wiring through that hole. In this guitar, they've done all the wiring through the bridge pickup cavity. Let's see what's happening with this wood. I have the client's permission to do this, by the way. The question is it a veneer or is it actually a flamed maple top? Now, it's definitely a maple top, which is carved. And I don't know if I can see veneer there or not. Ooh. No, I can see finish. I can see a little bit of stain, but I can't see a veneer. I'm just going to have a quick look at this side as well. So what this looks like is it looks like this has actually got a solid flame maple top. Which is just bonkers, really. At least on this guitar, it looks like it's got a real flamed maple top. And I presume back, actually, because the back is also maple. Wow. That's rather surprising. So, let's put it back together again. Now, I'm not going to take the electronics out. Needless to say, they're going to be cheap mini pots, poorly soldered, poor quality wire. And that is just par for the course when you have one of these instruments. What more can I say? Here we have it. This is obviously emphatically a fake Gibson Supreme. Now, the serial number matches up to the correct model for the correct year. The workmanship is, for the most part, pretty good. The frets are really, really poor material. The tuners are fake. The pickups are Epiphone. This is the same sort of thing that you're going to get on any cheap, mass-produced guitar made in China or in any one of those places that make cheap, mass-produced guitars. It's still handmade, and some of them still have pretty good quality materials. Because they are faking a Gibson, it is wrong. If this had any other name on it, it would be, it would be a stunning guitar. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the conspiracy theory is that Gibson let these happen because then people buy them and then buy Gibson parts and bits and pieces, and Gibson therefore make a lot of money from that. My client bought this simply because he's learning how to build guitars actually, and he wanted to have something that looked as close to a Gibson as he could, so he could rip it apart and experiment and learn refrets and things like that. Sadly, there are people that buy these in order to put original parts on them and sell them on, and that is where you need to look out for things like the misalignment of these holes. Because if somebody had bought original Gibson hardware for 300 or 400 quid, or probably 700 or 800 quid knowing Gibson, the only thing that you would know to tell you that this isn't real is the stuff that he can't change. So the positions of the holes, the fact that that up there isn't a globe, you could take this fake and turn it into a much more creditable fake by replacing the bits and pieces. These frets, my client polished these frets up to a shine a couple of weeks ago, and they are already tarnished. So that's something to look out for. Anyhow, whether it's morally right or wrong, and we all know that it's wrong, don't offer to buy this from me. We've had a lot of people, the last video we did on a fake Chibson, I've had a fair old number of people get in touch and offer to buy the instrument, and I'm not selling the instrument. It's not mine. And I wouldn't if I could. So, well, there we have it. We have another Chibson, and it's not good. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Check out all our other videos on how to build guitars, how to repair them, how to restore them. And if you're interested in all of that, go to crimsonguitars.com, where we have a forum and a guild, an online guitar building school, and lots of tools and toys and things for you to buy and have fun with. Thank you very much. Goodbye. That was almost a guitar power salute. There we go. I'm going to go now. Have an excellent day. Cheers.